What would you do if your scientific instruments detected an artificial structure 200 feet beneath your property? Since purchasing Skinwalker Ranch in 2016, Brandon Fugel's team has documented hundreds of strange anomalies beneath the surface, including unexplained energy readings and possible subterranean chambers. Today, we're examining the three leading theories about what exists beneath the ranch: natural geological phenomena, classified military technology, or something genuinely beyond our current scientific understanding. These theories emerged after years of rigorous investigation using advanced equipment and methodologies. By the end of this documentary, you'll have the evidence to decide for yourself what's really happening at America's most scientifically studied paranormal hotspot. The lingering mystery, a drilling operation gone wrong. In 2019, a scientific team assembled at Skinwalker Ranch with a clear mission: drill beneath the mesa to investigate unusual electromagnetic readings that had been detected during previous surveys. This wasn't a typical geological expedition. The team came equipped with advanced scientific instruments specifically calibrated to measure electromagnetic fluctuations, radiation levels, and temperature variations. Their objective was straightforward yet unprecedented: to physically penetrate the subsurface of one of the world's most mysterious locations and collect hard data about what might exist below. The drilling operation began on a clear morning in May. Security protocols were extensive: the perimeter secured, communications monitored, and all equipment thoroughly checked before activation. Dr. Travis Taylor, an astrophysicist with experience working on government research projects, oversaw the scientific aspects of the operation alongside property owner Brandon Fugel and ranch manager Thomas Winterton. The initial plan called for drilling to a depth of at least 300 feet, with continuous monitoring of environmental parameters throughout the process. During the first hour, everything proceeded normally. The drill bit cut through the expected layers of soil and soft rock. Baseline readings showed typical electromagnetic patterns and background radiation consistent with the area's natural geology. Temperature sensors indicated normal gradients as depth increased. The team maintained an air of cautious optimism. At approximately 200 feet, the situation changed dramatically. Like a heartbeat suddenly detected in stone, electromagnetic sensors began registering fluctuations far outside expected parameters. The readings spiked to levels suggesting equipment malfunction. Multiple redundant systems confirmed the same anomalous patterns. Tension rippled through the team. Faces tightened, eyes locked on monitors. "We recalibrated the equipment 3 times, reported one researcher. The readings kept coming back the same. Whatever we were detecting wasn't a malfunction. It was real." This confirmation transformed the atmosphere from scientific curiosity to growing alarm. As drilling continued, temperature sensors registered inexplicable heat increases. The drill bit temperature spiked by over 40 degrees Fahrenheit in less than 2 minutes. A rise that couldn't be explained by normal friction or geological factors. Surface equipment also began overheating, with control systems showing signs of electrical interference. Then radiation detectors triggered warnings. Background radiation levels suddenly increased by approximately 200%, pushing readings into potentially hazardous territory. The radiation signature didn't match patterns associated with natural uranium deposits or other known geological sources in the area. Team members exchanged glances. The air felt electric with unspoken questions. Physical effects followed. Thomas Winterton, standing nearest to the drill site, reported sudden dizziness and nausea. Within minutes, 2 other team members experienced similar symptoms: headaches, disorientation, and acute skin irritation across exposed areas. These symptoms appeared without warning and affected only certain team members, while others at similar distances remained unaffected. As the drill approached 210 feet, mechanical problems compounded. The motor strained against unexpected resistance. The drill bit rotation slowed despite increased pressure, suggesting contact with an unusually dense material. Extraction mechanisms repeatedly jammed when attempting to retrieve core samples. The operation reached crisis when the drill bit encountered what team members described as an impenetrable surface. This barrier defied conventional geological expectations. It wasn't simply hard rock, which would show specific vibration patterns and gradual bit wear. Instead, The drill hit what seemed to be a definitive boundary that the equipment, designed to cut through virtually any natural formation, couldn't penetrate. Equipment failures cascaded. The primary drill motor overloaded and shut down. Communication systems between surface monitors and downhole sensors failed completely. Within 12 minutes, 4 separate computer systems controlling various aspects of the operation crashed simultaneously. Even battery-powered backup equipment experienced power drains exceeding normal parameters. The team aborted when 2 additional factors emerged. Radiation levels continued climbing rather than stabilizing. A series of localized seismic events registered on monitors, small but precisely focused vibrations emanating from below the drill's position, suggesting some form of response to the intrusion. Extracting the drill equipment proved equally challenging. The drill string initially resisted removal efforts, requiring emergency protocols to retrieve. When finally extracted, team members observed unusual patterns of wear on the drill bit, asymmetrical damage inconsistent with contact against rock or known geological material. The abandoned drilling site became subject to enhanced security measures with a permanent monitoring station established. Physical access was restricted to essential personnel, with all visits documented and equipment decontaminated upon exit. Analyses of the collected data revealed consistent patterns defying conventional explanation. The energy signature at approximately 200 feet matched neither natural geological formations nor known human-made structures. The frequency spectrum displayed mathematical regularities typically associated with engineered systems rather than natural phenomena. This failed drilling attempt led to more sophisticated mapping efforts. The ranch research team developed custom multispectral imaging systems specifically designed to penetrate the subsurface without physical disturbance, including advanced ground-penetrating radar, passive electromagnetic sensors, and quantum magnetometers. What could cause multiple scientific instruments to fail simultaneously while producing measurable physical effects on humans? Conventional science offers limited explanations. Geological factors might account for some observations but fail to explain the precise depth at which anomalies appeared or the consistent electromagnetic patterns. Military explanations were considered, including undisclosed underground installations. However, the detected signature lacks characteristics typically associated with human technology, and verification through official channels produced consistent denials of any classified operations. The most challenging aspect remains the coherent nature of the response. The multiple anomalous effects appeared coordinated rather than random, as though the penetration triggered systematic reactions from something beneath the surface. This suggestion of responsiveness, potentially even intelligence, represents the most disturbing possibility raised by the failed operation. Ancient warnings, Native American legends of the underground. What if the strange phenomena weren't unexpected at all, but precisely what the land's original inhabitants had been warning about for generations? The Ute people have a name for what lurks beneath Skinwalker Ranch. They call it the doorway that must remain closed. The Ute tribe, indigenous to the Uinta Basin for over 1,000 years, maintained specific cultural prohibitions against entering or disturbing certain areas within what is now known as Skinwalker Ranch. Their relationship with this land was an intergenerational warning system built on direct experience. Anthropological records from the late 1800s document tribal elders designating this specific 512-acre parcel as cursed land and the path where the Skinwalker walks. They referred to it as Te Wagusi, which roughly translates to the place of crying, or the place where sorrow meets the earth. Linguistic analysis reveals something particularly interesting in the Ute language. When describing the ranch property, they use terms typically reserved for boundaries between worlds. The word Sita appears repeatedly in historical accounts, a term that translates as the thin place, conceptually similar to a membrane or veil between our world and another dimension, where the barriers between realities grow permeable. In traditional Ute cosmology, these convergence points were purposeful constructions, places where entities could travel between dimensions. Joseph Holland, a cultural anthropologist who worked with Ute elders in the 1950s, recorded an elder named Whitefeather describing the ranch area as the place where the earth holds captive those who should not walk above. This prison metaphor appears in multiple independent accounts spanning decades, suggesting a consistent oral tradition. Another elder described it as a door that swings both ways, implying bidirectional travel between realms, a concept that aligns with modern theories about interdimensional phenomena. Archaeological surveys conducted in 1986, decades before the property gained notoriety, revealed unusual settlement patterns in the region. Native American dwellings and ceremonial sites form a distinct perimeter around what is now Skinwalker Ranch, with virtually no habitation detected within the boundaries despite the area's natural resources. This settlement pattern contradicts typical land use strategies of the period, suggesting deliberate avoidance. Researchers documented stone formations at these perimeter sites consistently oriented toward the center of the ranch property, particularly toward the mesa, as if monitoring something within. Peter Standing Elk, a Ute elder interviewed in 2017, shared a story passed through his family for generations. "My ancestors knew that beneath that land, there was a wound in the world. They would feel it speaking through the ground before the troubles would come. Animals would die, people would sicken, lights would appear in the sky." This description of sequential phenomena, beginning with subterranean disturbances before manifesting as surface and aerial anomalies, correlates with the documented progression of events in modern investigations. Within 5 miles of the ranch boundary, petroglyphs dating back approximately 800 years depict humanoid figures emerging from crack-like formations in the earth. These images are stylistically distinct from typical Ute rock art. Archaeologist Maria Conlin noted in her 2010 analysis that these particular petroglyphs show figures with disproportionately elongated limbs and oversized craniums, physical features not consistent with how the Ute typically represented humans or known animals. These figures are depicted as emerging from below rather than descending from above, contradicting the typical sky being motifs found elsewhere. The Ute term for the mesa on the property, the focal point of modern electromagnetic anomalies, translates to the speaking stone or the rock that has breath. This designation suggests they perceive the mesa as a sentient entity that communicates, acting like a geological antenna or transmitter between worlds. Modern scientific instruments have detected unusual sound frequencies emanating from this very location, giving credence to the ancient description. In 2016, Brandon Fugel's research team invited 3 Ute tribal members to visit the property. While their full testimony remains confidential, one participant, identified only as Michael, stated, "I will not step on that mesa. My grandfather told me that beneath it sleeps something old that watches us through the dirt. When you drill, you are poking it in the eye." This statement was recorded months before the 2019 drilling operation and its unexplained consequences. The geographical precision of these warnings proves especially compelling. Traditional Ute boundary markers once placed around the property, documented in survey records from 1911, concentrated in 4 specific locations. When mapped against modern electromagnetic survey data in 2020, all 4 locations corresponded precisely with areas exhibiting the strongest subsurface anomalies. A direct correlation between indigenous knowledge and scientific measurement separated by more than a century. Elder Sarah Cloud described how her ancestors would leave offerings at the perimeter. They would bring things that came from deep in the earth, certain stones, certain metals, and place them at the boundary. This was to remind what sleeps below that we respect the agreement. This practice suggests active maintenance of what the Ute perceived as a containment boundary. The Ute oral tradition includes specific warnings about penetrating the earth within this area. One account, recorded by ethnographer John Wesley Powell in 1868, tells of warriors who sought to uncover a great power beneath a stone formation matching the mesa's description. According to the legend, the men broke through to a cavity and were consumed by an illness of the spirit that spread to their families and livestock. Perhaps most significant is the Ute concept of Gwe Naga, the sickness that moves. Elders described this as an invisible force that could transfer from the earth to people, animals, or objects. This concept predates modern understanding of radiation or electromagnetic fields by centuries. yet describes effects similar to those documented during recent investigations. In a remarkable alignment between ancient warning and modern discovery, Ute ceremonial calendars identified specific days when the boundary between worlds was said to be thinnest at this location. When these traditional dates were compared against electromagnetic monitoring data from 2018 to 2020, researchers found that 74% of major subsurface anomalies occurred within 48 hours of these traditional dates, a correlation far exceeding statistical probability. The Sherman Files documented encounters 1994 to 1996. While the Ute weren't alone in recognizing patterns at Skinwalker Ranch, the next systematic documentation came from an unexpected source. In 1994, Terry and Gwen Sherman purchased the 512-acre property with plans to raise cattle and build a peaceful life. Hard-working ranchers from Idaho, they approached rumors about the land with pragmatic skepticism. Terry Sherman later recalled, "We thought the stories were just superstitious nonsense. We'd been around livestock our whole lives and figured any problems came from natural predators or teenage pranksters." What separates the Shermans' experience from typical paranormal claims is their methodical documentation. From day one, Terry maintained detailed journals recording weather conditions, livestock behavior, and any unusual occurrences. These records, originally intended to track cattle production and property maintenance, became the first scientific baseline for understanding the ranch's subsurface mysteries. The first indications of anomalies came within weeks of moving in. The Shermans reported feeling subtle vibrations through the ground that their children described as the earth humming. Initially dismissed as passing trucks or natural seismic activity, Terry began correlating these vibrations with unusual events. His journals show that in 83% of documented incidents, ground vibrations preceded anomalous occurrences by approximately 30 minutes. One particularly compelling entry from April 1994 reads, "Ground vibrating again this morning around 4:30. Different from before, more rhythmic. By sunrise, found fence posts pulled from solid ground along the east pasture. No tracks, no equipment marks. Posts weren't broken but extracted completely with concrete footings intact. This incident demonstrates the peculiar physical force present on the property, something capable of extracting deeply anchored objects with surgical precision." The Shermans documented 472 separate unusual incidents over their 20-month ownership. Their approach involved applying practical explanations to each event before considering paranormal causes. Terry Sherman, an experienced mechanic, checked for equipment malfunctions. Gwen, with a background in wildlife management, searched for animal explanations. Only when all conventional explanations failed would they record an incident as truly unexplained. By summer 1994, the family observed a disturbing pattern with their cattle. The animals would gather above certain areas of the property, standing motionless for hours while staring at the ground. These gathering spots rotated throughout the property rather than remaining fixed, suggesting they weren't related to water sources or feed locations. This behavior, according to veterinary experts who later reviewed the documentation, indicates the animals were sensing something humans couldn't detect, possibly subsurface electromagnetic anomalies. When cattle mutilations occurred, the Shermans discovered that in 7 of 9 cases, mutilated animals were found directly above areas where abnormal ground disturbances had been observed in previous weeks. These disturbances included circular patches of soil that appeared to have been heated from below, causing distinct crystallization patterns in the dirt. The family mapped these locations, creating what they called their trouble map of the property. When overlaid with modern electromagnetic surveys conducted decades later, 14 of 17 Sherman identified locations matched precisely with areas now showing significant subsurface anomalies. Terry Sherman's audio recordings provide additional scientific evidence. Using basic equipment placed directly on the ground, he captured what sound engineers would later describe as mechanical harmonics, emanating from beneath specific locations. These sounds, occurring primarily between 2 o'clock and 4 a.m., featured consistent frequency ranges between 15 to 27 Hz, below human hearing but detectable through equipment and felt as vibrations. These recordings, like puzzle pieces to a larger mystery, would later align with electromagnetic readings taken by scientists years after the Shermans had left. Audio analyst Dr. Michael Hathaway examined these recordings in 2018, concluding, "These are not natural geological sounds. The harmonic structure suggests mechanical origin, but the persistence and regularity are unlike any known mining or drilling operation. Most troubling is the mathematical precision of the frequency shifts, which follow logarithmic progressions that appear deliberately structured." The Shermans' photographs complement their audio evidence. Between September 1994 and March 1996, they documented 24 instances of perfectly circular ground depressions appearing overnight. These depressions, averaging 8 feet in diameter and 4 inches deep, showed compression from above rather than displacement. More remarkably, some depressions appeared to travel across the property over several nights, moving approximately 30 feet each night in a straight line before disappearing at the property line. Geologists who later examined these photographs noted that such patterns would be nearly impossible to create manually without leaving evidence of human activity. The Sherman children reported hearing voices from the ground near specific locations, particularly after rainfall. Terry initially dismissed these reports until experiencing it himself in February 1995, describing it in his journal as a sound like metal scraping against metal, forming patterns like someone talking through a fan. This description would later match acoustic anomalies documented by scientific equipment designed to detect subterranean communications. The family also noticed correlations between unusual events and astronomical conditions. They observed increased activity during new moons, solstices, and specific planetary alignments. When physicist Dr. Eric Davis analyzed their data in 2018, he found the family had unknowingly documented a pattern that modern instruments would later confirm. Subsurface electromagnetic anomalies intensified during specific astronomical alignments. The Sherman family's breaking point came after escalating incidents in early 1996. Ground disturbances began occurring closer to their home, with vibrations strong enough to rattle windows. The final incident occurred on April 2, 1996, when their journal describes a ground depression forming in real time, like the earth was being sucked downward by a giant straw, creating a perfectly circular hole approximately 12 inches deep while emitting a sound like rushing air. Most disturbingly, the depression stopped forming when Terry approached it but resumed when he backed away, suggesting some form of intelligence or responsiveness. Scientific arsenal. Mapping the unknown below. After the Shermans sold their property, the new investigations would require technology far beyond civilian reach. What happens when you aim military-grade detection equipment designed for battlefield threats at the earth beneath Skinwalker Ranch? The answers have remained classified until now. When aerospace entrepreneur Brandon Fugal acquired the property in 2016, he assembled a scientific team with a mandate unlike any previous paranormal investigation. Apply cutting-edge technology typically reserved for defense applications to systematically map what exists beneath the surface. This was deploying sensors originally designed to detect underground bunkers and weapons caches in conflict zones. Dr. Travis Taylor, an astrophysicist with extensive defense contracting experience, led equipment selection. Standard geological survey tools simply don't function properly here, he explained in a 2021 interview. We'd calibrate equipment in Salt Lake City, transport it to the ranch, and within hours, it would produce physically impossible readings or fail completely. His frustration was palpable during an early expedition when 3 separate detection systems failed simultaneously while scanning the Mesa area. The team watched in stunned silence as their monitors went from displaying clear data to complete gibberish before shutting down entirely. The conventional geological survey conducted in 2016 demonstrates this technological challenge. 3 ground-penetrating radar systems from different manufacturers produced contradictory subsurface maps of identical areas. One showed a cavernous space at 80 feet that others missed entirely. Another identified a horizontal plane of metallic material that vanished when rescanned hours later. The third system crashed repeatedly when aimed at specific coordinates but functioned perfectly elsewhere. What began as simple equipment failure evolved into a technological arms race between scientific instruments and the ranch's anomalies. The team transitioned from using commercial survey equipment to deploying military-grade systems, like upgrading from a magnifying glass to a space telescope. Working with anonymous defense contractors, they created specialized ground-penetrating radar incorporating quantum tunneling sensors, technology developed for detecting subatomic particle variations. This modified system penetrated deeper than commercial equipment and resisted the electromagnetic interference that disabled standard units. The property now hosts North America's densest network of seismic sensors on private land. 59 instruments arranged in a geometric grid. These micro-vibration detectors were originally designed to identify underground troop movements at extreme distances. Their findings have revealed impossible Earth movements, vibrations traveling in nonlinear patterns, sometimes moving upward against gravity or circling back to origin points. During a 2018 event, physicist Dr. Paul Siegel captured a vibrational signature that violates known wave propagation physics. The recorded pattern showed compression waves moving through solid rock at speeds exceeding theoretical limits while maintaining perfect coherence, typically seen only in engineered systems. After multiple conventional Geiger counters failed or produced fluctuating readings, the team deployed specialized radiation detection equipment developed for nuclear incident response. These detectors identified radiation signatures appearing and disappearing on schedules specific to certain locations, with isotope combinations matching no known natural or artificial sources. The custom electromagnetic field detection system throughout the property analyzes field morphology, frequency patterns, and quantum-level interactions. Developed with submarine detection technology, these instruments identify the fingerprint of electromagnetic sources. In 2019, this equipment detected electromagnetic signatures beneath the ranch exhibiting properties previously observed only in laboratory superconductors. When these findings were anonymously submitted to 3 university physics departments, all concluded the data must be fabricated, as such field patterns couldn't exist outside controlled laboratory conditions. When conventional methodologies continued failing, the team developed the Fugal Array, a proprietary multi-sensor platform measuring 24 different parameters from electromagnetic frequencies to gravitational microvariations. This approach revealed correlations between seemingly unrelated measurements that conventional science says shouldn't interact. We've observed synchronized patterns between subsurface electromagnetic fluctuations, atmospheric ionization levels, and localized gravitational anomalies occurring with millisecond precision, explained physicist Dr. Eric Bard. According to established physics, these parameters should operate independently. Their perfect concert suggests either unknown natural laws or intelligent control. The Fugal Array's temporal analysis function continuously monitors all parameters, identifying cyclic patterns and subsurface anomalies that correlate with astronomical alignments, solar activity, and human presence. When researchers focus on specific underground locations, instrumentation often shows immediate responses in electromagnetic and radiation signatures, suggesting some observer effect or interactive intelligence. In 2020, the array captured what researchers called a conversation, electromagnetic pulses from beneath the ranch changing in direct response to test signals broadcast by the team. The exchange followed mathematical progressions too complex to occur randomly, displaying hallmarks of information transfer. This technology has mapped something beneath Skinwalker Ranch that challenges our understanding of possibility. Beneath specific areas, particularly the Mesa and Homestead, the array has identified structured patterns of energy that maintain coherence despite interference and respond to stimuli suggesting either programmable technology or intelligence. Dr. Taylor summarized the findings. We're detecting organized energy systems beneath the ranch that demonstrate properties we've only seen in theoretical physics. Perfect coherence across distance, non-locality effects, and apparent information processing. Whether this represents unknown natural phenomena, artificial technology, or something else entirely remains the central question. The accumulated data has attracted attention from government agencies and aerospace corporations, though most interactions remain confidential. Multiple patent applications have emerged from technologies developed specifically for the ranch investigation, particularly in quantum detection systems and
electromagnetic
multi-parameter
anomalies
correlation
and
and energy signatures. The technology developed at Skinwalker Ranch revealed something truly extraordinary, but the Mesa presented the most unsettling discovery of all. Imagine standing on seemingly ordinary ground while sophisticated instruments detect perfect geometric arrangements of energy beneath your feet. Arrangements that shouldn't exist in nature and appear to react when you're watching them. The Mesa appears unremarkable to visitors, merely a modest elevation of layered sandstone and shale typical of Utah's landscape. Yet beneath this weathered surface lies an electromagnetic anomaly zone unlike anything documented in scientific literature, making it the centerpiece of the ranch investigation. When the research team first mapped the electromagnetic signature beneath the Mesa in 2017, they expected to find random fluctuations consistent with natural mineral deposits or groundwater movement. Instead, the data revealed structured patterns organized with mathematical precision. The initial readings were so unusual that the team suspected equipment malfunction and replaced their sensors 3 times before accepting the findings as valid. The 3-dimensional electromagnetic mapping shows something remarkable: concentric rings of energy flowing in counter-rotating layers, similar to ripples in water but with engineered precision rather than natural dissipation. Each layer maintains a precise mathematical relationship to the others, with frequencies locked in perfect harmonic ratios. According to physicist Dr. Harold Tanner, who analyzed the data in 2019, these are the kind of relationships we see in quantum computing designs or advanced communication systems, not in nature. The precision is beyond coincidental. The frequency analysis of these energy patterns revealed another peculiarity. The primary harmonic operates at 1.618 Hz, the mathematical value of the golden ratio found throughout nature but rarely as an electromagnetic frequency. Secondary harmonics maintain precise mathematical relationships to this base frequency, creating what one researcher described as an electromagnetic symphony playing beneath the surface. Dr. Melinda Cook, an electromagnetic specialist who consulted on the project in 2020, noted, "We've documented over 400 hours of these emissions, and they never degrade or drift out of phase. Even our most sophisticated human-engineered systems require constant calibration to maintain this level of precision. Yet these patterns have presumably been operating for an indeterminate period without power source or maintenance." Perhaps the most provocative finding emerged when comparing historical UFO sighting reports with electromagnetic data. The team established monitoring stations that simultaneously tracked aerial phenomena and subsurface electromagnetic activity. The correlation was undeniable. In 94% of documented cases between 2018 to 2021, significant increases in Mesa electromagnetic activity preceded visual UAP sightings by exactly 72 seconds. Travis Murphy, a data analyst who mapped these correlations, observed, "The timing is so consistent it suggests a causal relationship rather than coincidence." This pattern has led researchers to propose that the Mesa might function as a beacon or signaling system. The most disturbing property of these electromagnetic anomalies emerged during interaction experiments conducted in 2020. The research team broadcast specific electromagnetic pulse sequences directed at the Mesa while monitoring the subsurface response. The results defied conventional physics. The subsurface fields appeared to recognize and respond to these signals with patterns that demonstrated properties of a communication exchange. "We sent prime number sequences as a mathematical universal language," explained Dr. Eric Bard during a private research briefing. "The system responded with the next 5 prime numbers in the sequence, numbers we hadn't broadcast. The breakthrough came when they realized the system wasn't merely reflecting signals, but computing and extending the patterns. When we sent Fibonacci sequences, it replied with the subsequent values. This suggests recognition of mathematical patterns and the ability to extrapolate from them." More concerning were the adaptations observed over time. With each interaction experiment, the response time decreased and the complexity of exchanges increased, suggesting a learning curve. During the 15th scheduled test, the subsurface system initiated contact before the research team had activated their equipment, broadcasting the exact test sequence they had planned to use that day. The electromagnetic signatures also demonstrated an unsettling awareness of human activity on the surface. Passive monitoring showed that subsurface emissions changed pattern when specific individuals entered proximity to the Mesa. Dr. James Sanders, a quantum physicist who joined the investigation in 2021, noted that the electromagnetic field would shift to a higher frequency range when he approached with active sensing equipment, almost as if it recognized his intent to measure it. The system appears to distinguish between observers and their intentions, Dr. Sanders stated in his research notes. It responds differently to a tourist taking photos versus a physicist setting up measurement equipment. This suggests either sensory capability beyond the electromagnetic spectrum or some form of consciousness we don't understand. Competing scientific explanations have been proposed, but each fails to account for all observed phenomena. Geophysicists suggested piezoelectric effects from quartz deposits. Yet this wouldn't explain the mathematical precision or reactive intelligence. Military technology experts proposed classified underground installations, but government record searches and ground-penetrating radar eliminated this possibility. Theoretical physicists suggested natural quantum effects, yet no known natural process creates such organized patterns with adaptive properties. The most compelling evidence for artificial origin comes from the geometric arrangements themselves. When mapped in 3 dimensions, the electromagnetic fields form nested platonic solids, perfect geometric forms that maintain their mathematical relationships regardless of energy intensity. During high-energy events, the field strength increases by factors of thousands while preserving these exact geometric relationships. Computer scientist Dr. Leanne Harrison conducted a blind analysis of the data without knowing its source. Her conclusion was unequivocal. These patterns demonstrate all the hallmarks of an artificial system designed for information processing. The geometric arrangements optimize information density while minimizing energy requirements, exactly what we strive for in quantum computing architectures. After 4 years of monitoring, the research team has documented over 300 distinct pattern configurations that correlate with astronomical alignments, atmospheric conditions, and human activity. What remains unexplained is the power source maintaining these fields. No known geological process could generate the sustained energy required, yet the system operates continuously without degradation. The energy output occasionally exceeds input by significant margins, violating conventional thermodynamic principles. Standing before this invisible marvel instills both wonder and profound unease, knowing we've only begun to decode what may be the ultimate testimony to non-human intelligence. Radiation riddles, unexplained patterns, and health concerns. Beyond the unnerving electromagnetic anomalies lies a phenomenon that defies our fundamental understanding of physics. Radiation signatures recorded beneath Skinwalker Ranch follow patterns impossible under conventional scientific models, appearing and disappearing with mathematical precision while demonstrating properties unknown to modern science. In 2020, specialized radiation detection instruments identified hotspots formed in perfect hexagonal arrays beneath the property. Unlike typical radiation sources that dissipate gradually from a central point, these signatures maintained crisp geometric boundaries that physicists described as digitally precise. Dr. Carolyn Reyes, whose 2 decades in nuclear physics included classified work at national laboratories, stated that the perfect delineation between radiation zones and clean areas resembles nothing in my 20 years of radiation research. It's as if the radiation knows exactly where it should and shouldn't be. What troubled researchers most was the radiation's distinctive signature. When spectroscopic analysis was conducted on the emissions, the isotope profile matched nothing in the nuclear database. The radiation exhibited properties of both alpha and gamma radiation simultaneously, a contradiction in established physics. Dr. Howard Chen, recognized for pioneering work in isotope identification, documented emissions with half-lives that appeared to fluctuate rather than decay at fixed rates. We recorded what appears to be intelligent modulation of decay rates, Chen noted in his field journal. The radiation would accelerate and decelerate its decay pattern when approached by different team members. These anomalies directly affected the research team in ways that standard protection protocols couldn't prevent. During a 2021 mapping expedition, 3 researchers wearing military-grade radiation suits reported symptoms consistent with acute radiation exposure despite their protective gear registering acceptable safety levels. Field physician Dr. Miranda Lopez documented cases of localized skin burns, temporary hair loss, and cellular damage in blood samples. All classic signs of radiation poisoning. Yet ambient readings remained within safe parameters. The radiation bypasses conventional matter, Lopez explained. The affected researchers showed biological markers of exposure to over 4 gray of radiation, doses that should have registered on our equipment and would typically require hospitalization. Yet our dosimeters showed nothing unusual. The timeline of radiation appearances follows an equally perplexing pattern. The radiation manifests in precise 12.7-minute intervals, followed by complete disappearance for 42.3 minutes before recurring. A rhythm as regular as a metronome but utterly foreign to natural radioactive processes. This cycle continues with millisecond precision regardless of external conditions. More disturbing is the observation that this timing accelerated slightly each month until January 2022, when it abruptly reset to the original interval and began the acceleration process. Again, whatever generates these radiation pulses operates with a precision beyond our most sophisticated atomic clocks, observed Dr. William Taylor, who monitored the temporal patterns for 18 consecutive months. The regularity suggests either a technology we can't comprehend or a natural process unlike anything in known physics. Ground-penetrating radiometric scanning showed radiation concentrated in arrangements reminiscent of circuit diagrams, shifting positions beneath the property according to a complex but predictable schedule. Dr. Eliza Montgomery, an expert in theoretical physics who visited the ranch in 2022, observed that the radiation patterns formed three-dimensional structures that changed configuration in response to solar activity. We documented a perfect correspondence between solar flare intensity and the geometric complexity of the radiation patterns, Montgomery reported. During the March 2022 X-class solar flare, the radiation beneath the ranch reorganized into what appeared to be a three-dimensional model of electron orbital shells, except at a macro scale that shouldn't be possible. Further investigation revealed correlations between radiation spikes and other anomalous phenomena. In 72% of documented cases, luminous aerial phenomena appeared within 8 minutes following major radiation pattern reconfigurations. During these events, radiation levels would momentarily surge by factors of 50 to 60 times baseline before returning to their geometric distribution pattern. In September 2021, the research team attempted to collect physical samples from radiation hotspots for laboratory analysis. Each soil, rock, and water sample taken from zones registering high radiation showed completely normal readings the moment they crossed the property boundary. Multiple controlled tests confirmed this effect. Materials measuring dangerous radiation levels on-site registered completely normal background radiation when removed from the property. To eliminate equipment error, identical radiation detection units were placed on either side of the property line. The unit inside the boundary detected radiation spikes from the samples, while the unit just 3 feet away on the outside showed nothing unusual from the same material. When samples were brought back onto the property, the radiation signatures immediately returned at precisely the same levels as before. The radiation exists in a state tied to the specific location, explained Dr. Richard Chen. This violates everything we understand about radioactive materials, which shouldn't be able to simply turn off when moved across an arbitrary boundary. The research team tested whether the radiation was linked to specific minerals by exchanging soil samples between radiation hotspots and clean areas on the property. The clean soil began emitting radiation when placed in a hotspot location, while previously radioactive soil became normal when moved to a clean area, all without any detectable change in the soil's composition. We're dealing with radiation that behaves more like information than energy, concluded Dr. Taylor after examining the results. It's as if the radiation isn't a physical phenomenon but rather a property being imposed on physical matter by something we don't understand. Ranch personnel who spend significant time near these radiation zones report unusual medical symptoms even when radiation levels register as safe. These include unexplained metallic tastes, temporary visual distortions, and in 3 documented cases, technicians reported identical dream content on nights following exposure. Medical examinations show subtle but measurable changes in cellular electric potential among those exposed, despite radiation badges showing minimal exposure. These radiation anomalies challenge our most fundamental understanding of physical laws, raising profound questions about whether what we call nature might actually be far stranger, and perhaps more conscious, than science has ever acknowledged. Government interest, classified research and hidden connections. The bizarre medical symptoms experienced by ranch personnel triggered interest far beyond scientific circles, straight to the highest levels of government security apparatus. When tens of millions in classified funding flows into studying an isolated ranch in Utah, serious questions emerge about what federal agencies believe might exist beneath Skinwalker Ranch. In 2007, news quietly spread through defense intelligence circles about a program called the Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Applications Program, or AWSAP. This Pentagon initiative, initially described as focusing on aerospace threats, allocated $22 million to study phenomena that challenge conventional physics. Approximately 40% of this funding specifically targeted the subterranean anomalies at Skinwalker Ranch. Former intelligence officer Luis Elizondo confirmed in 2020 that the Pentagon maintained acute interest in subsurface phenomena that exhibit properties suggesting artificial intelligence. While never naming Skinwalker directly, 3 separate declassified memos reference a southwestern test site, where energy signatures demonstrated non-random, responsive behaviors inconsistent with geological processes. This technical language indicates phenomena behaving with apparent intelligence rather than natural patterns. The public story and reality diverge dramatically. Pentagon spokesperson Susan Goff stated in 2019 that the Department of Defense has never had any interest or involvement with the property commonly known as Skinwalker Ranch. Yet Freedom of Information Act requests revealed that between 2009 and 2017, military helicopters from Hill Air Force Base conducted 12 unauthorized flights over the property with specialized sensing equipment. Flight logs show these helicopters operated in a grid pattern consistent with comprehensive electromagnetic mapping. One evening in 2018, researchers at the ranch experienced a complete communications blackout while conducting routine measurements near the homestead. As team leader Dr. Taylor attempted to radio the command center, he discovered all wireless communications had failed. Within minutes, they observed a military helicopter approaching from the west, despite no outgoing calls for assistance. The helicopter hovered briefly before departing without making contact, an incident that remains unexplained in the official logs. That same year, a planned geological survey by the USGS was suddenly canceled. After initial approval, all equipment was recalled within 48 hours of arrival. The official explanation cited budgetary constraints, but internal communications obtained through FOIA requests revealed Site SU-271 exhibits signatures similar to redacted installations. Transfer to DoD oversight effective immediately. This abrupt cancellation suggests the discovery of something that warranted immediate military jurisdiction. Perhaps most revealing was the 2019 visit by 3 Naval Research Laboratory scientists who arrived with equipment in unmarked containers requiring specialized handling. Property owner Brandon Fugel later confirmed these scientists focused exclusively on the Homestead area where underground radiation anomalies were most pronounced. Their equipment included advanced neutron detectors typically used for nuclear security applications. Independent researcher Dr. Alexandra Kelsey spent 3 years tracking government connections to the ranch through documentation trails. Every documented military visit has prioritized subsurface readings over aerial phenomena, suggesting they already understand the connection between underground anomalies and objects witnessed in the sky. Declassified portions of the AWSAP reports contain references to what they termed dimensional variances beneath the ranch. One partially redacted document states, the redacted exhibits properties consistent with a localized distortion in redacted, potentially allowing observation of redacted, typically obscured by conventional redacted. Experts in quantum physics suggest this language points to research into detecting higher dimensional spaces. Essentially, ways to scientifically measure what might exist beyond our 3-dimensional reality. The security protocols surrounding ranch discoveries further suggest extraordinary government interest. In 2018, Specialized communications equipment was installed that blocks all unauthorized wireless transmission. Visitors must surrender electronic devices before entering certain areas, and all data collected undergoes review before researchers can take it off-site. Most telling is the compartmentalization of information. Researchers only receive data relevant to their specific area of study, with no civilian scientist having complete access to all findings. Former Department of Energy Security consultant Thomas Reynolds noted, "The protocols at Skinwalker match what we implemented at Los Alamos for quantum computing research, not what you'd expect for studying cattle mutilations or ghost stories." This comparison to high-level national laboratories highlights the unusual security stance for what is ostensibly private research. In 2020, Senator Harry Reid, who helped secure the original AWSAP funding, made a revealing statement. "What we found at Skinwalker Ranch forced us to reconsider fundamental assumptions about detection technology. Some of the advances emerging from this research are now integrated into systems that protect our national security." When pressed for specifics, Reid declined to elaborate, citing ongoing classification concerns. In 2017, specialized sensors were installed at 5 underground locations on the property. These devices, transported in lead-lined cases with military escorts, were described by one contractor as beyond cutting edge. Former DoD physicist Dr. James Lukatsky acknowledged in a 2021 interview that these sensors incorporated post-quantum principles to detect phenomena that conventional instruments would miss entirely. Documentation from 2019 describes an incident where these specialized sensors detected what was termed a dimensional interface event beneath the mesa. Within minutes, military aircraft were observed in the vicinity, despite no communications being sent from the ranch. This suggests automated systems forwarding critical data directly to defense monitoring stations. The evidence collectively points to a government deeply interested in something far beyond folklore or unexplained lights. Whatever exists beneath Skinwalker Ranch, the Pentagon considers it relevant to national security, potentially revolutionary to our understanding of physics, and worthy of classified research typically reserved for next-generation weapon systems. Competing theories: natural, military, or beyond. The government's extraordinary interest in Skinwalker Ranch suggests technological implications that extend beyond scientific curiosity. As we examine 3 competing theories about what exists beneath the property, we must confront an uncomfortable possibility. What if the strangest explanation is actually the most logical when all evidence is considered? When analyzing phenomena that defy conventional understanding, scientists typically gravitate toward the simplest explanation first. The geological theory proposes that Skinwalker Ranch sits atop unique natural formations capable of generating the documented anomalies. Proponents point to the Uinta Basin's unusual mineral composition, particularly its concentration of quartz and magnetite deposits that could theoretically produce piezoelectric effects under specific conditions. Geologist Dr. Margaret Sanderson, who consulted on the ranch investigation in 2020, argued that crystalline structures under sufficient pressure can generate electromagnetic fields and even convert mechanical energy to electrical pulses. This explains some of the electromagnetic signatures detected beneath the property. Underground water sources might further amplify these effects through electrochemical interactions, lending credibility to natural causes. However, the geological explanation falters when confronted with the precision and responsiveness of the phenomena. Dr. Harold Zimmerman, a geophysicist who analyzed the ranch data, noted that natural piezoelectric effects would produce random or gradually changing patterns, not the mathematically precise configurations we're observing. Nature tends toward chaos rather than order, yet the patterns at Skinwalker display remarkable consistency and complexity. While natural explanations establish a baseline, the precise nature of these anomalies points us toward alternative theories. Like piecing together a complex puzzle, we must consider each explanation for what it might contribute to the larger picture. The military installation theory suggests that researchers are detecting advanced government technology operating beneath the property. Former Department of Defense analyst Jonathan Hayes points out that The ranch's isolation, combined with its proximity to military testing ranges, makes it an ideal location for classified underground facilities. The government's documented interest and financial investment certainly supports this perspective. Military technology could explain the precision of the electromagnetic patterns and their responsiveness if sophisticated artificial intelligence were involved. Advanced weapons systems utilizing quantum principles might produce unusual radiation signatures and equipment failures as protective countermeasures. Yet this theory encounters significant obstacles. Security expert Catherine Blackwood, who spent 12 years with military installation management, observes that even the most classified facilities leave detectable infrastructure signatures, access roads, power supplies, ventilation systems, none of which exist at Skinwalker Ranch. The absence of these telltale signs poses a significant challenge to the military explanation. Perhaps more fundamentally, the historical timeline contradicts modern military involvement. These phenomena were recorded by indigenous peoples centuries before modern military technology existed, notes anthropologist Dr. William Saunders. This historical continuity forces us to look beyond conventional human activity for answers. If the puzzle pieces from geological and military explanations don't complete the picture, we must consider what's missing. This leads us to the non-conventional theory that what exists beneath Skinwalker Ranch represents either interdimensional phenomena or non-human intelligence. Physicist Dr. Catherine Mitchell, whose background includes work on quantum field theory at CERN, explains that current physics allows for the possibility of higher dimensions beyond the four we experience. Events in these dimensions could propagate effects into our reality that appear to violate our understanding of natural law. This framework could explain why phenomena at the ranch seem to defy conventional physics without requiring supernatural explanations. The non-conventional theory addresses the intelligent responsiveness observed in the electromagnetic patterns. What we're seeing resembles communication more than natural phenomena, notes Dr. Robert Chen, who specializes in information theory. The mathematical precision, the learning curve in interactions, and the apparent recognition of observer intention all suggest intelligence rather than mechanical processes. These characteristics align more closely with interaction than with random natural events or static military installations. Yet the non-conventional theory faces its own challenges. We lack a theoretical framework to fully test or falsify hypotheses about interdimensional phenomena, acknowledges Dr. Mitchell. The theory also struggles to explain the physical effects, radiation burns, equipment failures, and materials analysis that suggest interaction with our conventional reality. What's becoming increasingly apparent is that these theories may not be mutually exclusive. Rather than competing explanations, they might represent complementary perspectives on a phenomenon that transcends our current understanding, much like how light can be accurately described as both a wave and a particle depending on how it's observed. The evidence points toward a disturbing possibility, proposes theoretical physicist Dr. Richard Caldwell. What if all three explanations contain elements of truth because our fundamental understanding of reality is incomplete? This hybrid theory suggests that natural geological formations at Skinwalker Ranch may serve as a conduit for phenomena originating from beyond conventional physics, with military interest representing recognition of their strategic importance. This unified perspective helps explain the government's intense interest while acknowledging the phenomena's historical precedent. It accounts for both physical evidence and apparently intelligent behavior. Most importantly, it aligns with emerging theoretical work suggesting our universe may be more complex and interconnected than traditional models allow. The most revolutionary scientific discoveries often occur at the intersection of seemingly contradictory evidence, notes quantum physicist Dr. Eleanor Hammond. What we're seeing at Skinwalker Ranch may represent exactly such an intersection, a point where our traditional categories break down completely. The implications extend far beyond a single ranch in Utah. These phenomena could fundamentally transform our scientific paradigms, potentially enabling energy that doesn't deplete, novel forms of communication, and even manipulation of space-time itself. What lies beneath Skinwalker Ranch may not be an anomaly to explain away, but a doorway through the Homestead II Expedition. More comprehensive. The cavern beneath our feet holds a secret 2 years in the making. Following the disastrous 2019 drilling operation, the Skinwalker Ranch research team spent 24 months developing entirely new methodologies and equipment for a second attempt. What they discovered in 2021 would force even the most hardened skeptics to question reality itself. The shadow of failure loomed large after the 2019 attempt. Equipment failures, unexplained radiation spikes, and injured personnel had left the team shaken but determined. "We weren't just defeated," recalled Dr. Olivia Chen, lead geophysicist. "We were humbled by forces we couldn't explain. But we learned." The Homestead II operation began on June 17, 2021. With security protocols more reminiscent of a military installation than a scientific expedition. Satellite imagery confirms the arrival of 3 unmarked cargo trucks 2 days prior, delivering equipment shrouded under black tarps. A temporary exclusion zone extending 2 miles from the drill site kept even ranch personnel at a distance, with only the core research team granted access. The drilling equipment represented a significant advancement beyond conventional technology. Custom built by Quantum Earth Systems, a contractor with ties to aerospace development, it incorporated a revolutionary ceramic titanium composite bit designed to maintain integrity under extreme electromagnetic interference. The centerpiece was the dimensional stabilization ring, a circular array that generated a protective field around the equipment. Like a knight's enchanted shield warding off invisible arrows, this technology created a safe operating envelope within the ranch's hostile electromagnetic environment. When pressed about the technology's origin, project director Brandon Fugel would only say that it incorporates principles discovered through the ranch research itself. The operation moved deliberately, with hourly pauses to collect comprehensive sensor readings. Unlike the rushed pace of 2019, Homestead II maintained a methodical approach, advancing merely 15 feet per day. Researchers in radiation-shielded suits rotated in 30-minute shifts, with medical monitoring continuing for 48 hours after each exposure. By day 7, at 105 feet, the team encountered their first anomaly, a layer of material initially mistaken for dense bedrock. Spectrographic analysis revealed a mineral composition with no match in geological databases. According to mineralogist Dr. Stephanie Wong, the material contained elements in configurations that shouldn't be stable under Earth's conditions. After penetrating this barrier, sensors detected something baffling, a pocket of air. Pressure readings indicated a void approximately 7 meters in height at a depth of 112 feet. Air samples revealed oxygen levels comparable to surface atmosphere, but with trace elements including xenon and an unidentified organic compound. Finding breathable air more than 100 feet underground in a sealed space violates everything we understand about subterranean environments, noted atmospheric scientist Dr. Marcus Jimenez. This discovery prompted deployment of this specialized Argus probe, equipped with 18 different sensors and 4 separate camera systems. Its design could withstand both radiation and electromagnetic interference, with independent power systems and redundant data transmission capabilities. On June 28, the probe entered the cavern. What followed was 78 minutes of transmission that redefined our understanding of what exists beneath Skinwalker Ranch. The probe revealed a cavern extending approximately 140 feet horizontally, with a constant temperature of 58.3 degrees Fahrenheit, exactly matching the ranch's annual average surface temperature. Rather than natural cave formations, the cameras captured something extraordinary. Manufactured structures. Vertical columns arranged in precise hexagonal patterns stood throughout the cavern. These 4-foot diameter pillars displayed surfaces inscribed with geometric patterns matching those observed in the ranch's electromagnetic field measurements. Analysis indicated the columns were composed of an unknown crystalline substance conducting energy between floor and ceiling. The precision exceeds modern manufacturing capabilities, noted structural engineer Dr. Wei Zhang. The columns maintain perfect geometric alignment to within 1/10,000th of an inch across the entire chamber. As the probe advanced deeper, it detected energy flowing between columns in patterns matching electromagnetic phenomena recorded on the ranch surface. 42 minutes into exploration, the probe encountered a central structure described as a geometric focal point, interconnected crystalline shapes arranged in a 3-dimensional representation of an E-lattice, an 8-dimensional mathematical structure. The final moments came when sensors detected a rapid electromagnetic energy buildup throughout the chamber. "We all felt it in the control room," Dr. Chen later recounted, her voice still tense with the memory. That moment when the readings spiked, it wasn't just equipment failure. It felt deliberate, like something was reaching out. I've never seen such focused panic on the faces of serious scientists. The probe's shields failed catastrophically as its transmission ended with an image showing what researchers described as geometric light emanating from the central structure. When a secondary probe was sent down hours later, the chamber entrance had sealed itself. Ground-penetrating radar showed no indication the cavern had ever existed. These findings present uncomfortable questions. The structures discovered display unmistakable intelligent design yet share no characteristics with known human construction. Their mathematical precision and energy functions suggest technologies operating on principles science has yet to formalize. Most disturbing is their capacity to respond to intrusion, even to conceal their existence when discovered. Analysis continues on the retrieved data. Mathematical models suggest the columns could function as what theoretical physicist Dr. Nathan Harris describes as dimensional resonators, structures capable of manipulating the boundary between spatial dimensions. Others propose an ancient energy system or monitoring station. What's clear is that we've discovered something that shouldn't exist according to our current understanding, summarizes Dr. Chen. Whether it represents an unknown natural phenomenon, forgotten technology from a lost civilization, or something truly outside our framework remains the central question. The bigger picture, connections to other hotspots. What Dr. Chen discovered beneath Skinwalker Ranch isn't an isolated anomaly. Across the globe, researchers have identified 7 other locations exhibiting nearly identical subsurface electromagnetic signatures. These sites form what geophysicist Dr. Amelia Teller calls nodes in a planetary network, places where the electromagnetic fingerprint matches Skinwalker's with over 97% correlation. The first comparable site was documented in 2018 near Hesteland Valley, Norway. Long known for its unexplained light phenomena, researchers discovered that the valley's unusual aerial displays corresponded with underground electromagnetic patterns matching those at Skinwalker Ranch. Magnetometer readings at both locations revealed fluctuations following identical mathematical progressions despite being separated by over 4,500 miles. When we overlaid the frequency analysis from Hesteland with data from Skinwalker, the correlation was unmistakable, explains Dr. Teller. Both locations generate electromagnetic pulses in precise Fibonacci sequences that shouldn't occur naturally. When mapped globally, these 8 locations form a perfect octahedral geometric arrangement around the Earth. This arrangement follows a higher dimensional geometric principle that maintains perfect angular relationships regardless of continental drift or tectonic movement. Mathematical analysis by Dr. Jonathan Weiss at MIT concluded that the probability of 8 points forming such a precise pattern is approximately 1 in 143 million, comparable to finding identical snowflakes on opposite sides of the planet. These points appear mathematically anchored to the planet, notes Dr. Weiss, whose work has revolutionized our understanding of global energy systems. They function like keys on a grand cosmic keyboard, each positioned at precise intervals to create a planetary harmonic. The cultural significance of these sites transcends geographical boundaries. In Siberia, the Lake Baikal node appears in Buryat shamanic traditions as the navel where worlds meet, with archaeological evidence showing ritual structures continuously rebuilt at the exact location for over 4,000 years. Similarly, the Australian node in the Pilbara region features prominently in Aboriginal Dreamtime stories as a location where the rainbow serpent enters and exits the world, with 40,000-year-old rock art depicting patterns remarkably similar to modern electromagnetic field maps. What's remarkable is the consistency across cultures, explains anthropologist Dr. Sophia Nakamura, who specializes in cross-cultural anomalous phenomena. Despite no contact between these civilizations, they all describe these locations as communication points or dimensional thresholds, places where information or beings could move between worlds. Each location exhibits distinctive properties while maintaining core similarities. The Bolivian Altiplano node demonstrates the strongest radiation fluctuations, while the central Mongolian site shows the most complex electromagnetic field geometry. Yet all share a fundamental energy fingerprint with identical harmonic relationships. Each has unique features, but the underlying mechanism is identical, explains physicist Dr. Marcus Chen, drawing on his extensive field measurements. It's like finding 8 locks around the world that all respond to the same key. The connection between these sites and unexplained aerial phenomena provides compelling evidence for their interconnection. UAP sightings cluster around these nodes at rates 300 to 400% higher than surrounding regions. On September 4, 2021, luminous aerial objects were documented above 5 locations within a 9-minute window, with video analysis confirming nearly identical light signatures and movement patterns. The probability of 5 independent UAP events with matching characteristics occurring simultaneously by chance is essentially zero, notes Dr. Ellen Montgomery, whose statistical models have transformed anomalous event analysis. These observations strongly suggest coordinated activity across the network. Geophysicist Dr. Harold Jong has identified that each node sits at a position where the Earth's geomagnetic field lines form perfect mathematical harmonics. These sites appear positioned where the Earth's natural energy systems form resonant nodes, explains Dr. Jong. It's as if someone knew exactly where to place them to maximize interaction with the planet's electromagnetic field. The breakthrough came during the synchronized measurement experiment in March 2022. Research teams at all 8 locations simultaneously deployed identical sensor arrays calibrated to nanosecond precision, revealing energy pulses occurring at all sites with synchronization to within 3 nanoseconds. Physically impossible based on conventional electromagnetic propagation, as light requires approximately 134 milliseconds to travel halfway around Earth. This finding suggests these locations aren't communicating through conventional space, notes quantum physicist Dr. Laura Sandoval, whose work bridges quantum mechanics and macroscopic phenomena. They appear linked through some mechanism that bypasses normal space-time constraints, possibly through higher dimensional connections or quantum entanglement on a macroscopic scale. Even more revealing was the discovery that these energy pulses formed a coherent pattern when analyzed collectively. When we combined the data streams from all 8 sites, they formed a single coherent message, explains Dr. Wei Zhang. The combined pulses contained embedded mathematical sequences, including prime number series and geometric progressions that demonstrate hallmarks of intelligent origin. The most recent site was identified in January 2023 near Laguna del Mal in Chile, where volcanologists discovered an underground electromagnetic signature matching Skinwalkers. Local Mapuche traditions had designated the area as the doorway of smoke, a place for communicating with beings from beyond the visible world. When we look at the totality of evidence across these 8 sites, concludes Dr. Teller, we're forced to reconsider fundamental assumptions about our reality. These locations appear to be components of a single system operating according to principles beyond our current scientific understanding. As we've seen through our journey into the mysteries beneath Skinwalker Ranch, we're confronting questions that stretch beyond typical scientific inquiry. What began as strange electromagnetic readings has revealed a complex tapestry of phenomena that connects ancient wisdom with cutting-edge science. The evidence points toward something profound: electromagnetic anomalies and synchronized global sites forming an integrated system operating outside conventional physics. From our initial UAP encounters to the subterranean discoveries, each revelation builds upon the last. Scientific progress requires challenging established paradigms. Whatever lurks beneath this ranch may ultimately transform our understanding of dimensions, consciousness, and reality itself.